All right, welcome everyone for the British faction overview, 5 minutes or less, or slightly more actually. British, look to make up your lack of firepower by taking advantage of your durability. Focus on maintaining critical areas and slowly build up your forces to force your opponent into futile aggression. Carefully select your commander and your heavy tanks as they offer a different style to meet your needs to defeat anything your opponent may field. All right, over to you.
Alright, so British are the beefiest faction. They have the most health among core units in the game and can be difficult to remove, but they have difficulty changing their positionings and pressuring capture points deep in enemy lines. They have access to more emplacements than any other faction and have the longest ranged army out of core units due to their sight and range upgrades. It is suggested that British players should start about 2 infantry sections and 1 Vickers. The infantry sections are to start building emplacements and start capturing points, while the Vickers allows them to help buy time to build up their forces. So I've been talking too much. Dry. British need to consolidate units in a combined arms approach to remove threats on the side of the map that they choose to take. Try to make a nice solid buffer around British units as their own as on their own, they can't threaten the enemy back. A common mistake from British players is fully upgrading emplacements in areas of the map where the opponent is not concentrating on, as well as the British player trying to win all sides of the map. Since emplacements cannot move and weapon teams don't move quickly, they can't respond quickly to opponents' movements. Learning what sides of the map to commit resources to and when is key for playing British well. British Tier 3 is when the faction becomes able to take the fight to their opponent and react to their movements, as you have some very mobile vehicles, as well as the ability to now move and follow your opponent's aggression. So, British have a lot of value in their emplacements, being able to come on the battlefield and be a very CP efficient way of gaining area control with the mortar emplacement and the Bofors. Now, as I was saying earlier, a big issue that I've seen people have is they'll build a Bofors, fully upgrade it, and then your opponent just walks away. They walk away, they go take somewhere else, and they start pressuring you on other sides of the map, and now you have this unit that's doing nothing, and then out of nowhere they roll up a tank and they destroy it and it's gone. So you very do much need to focus on how you're going to get the most value out of your emplacements and whether it is worth it. They're very cheap at 2 manpower, but if you go fully invested into it and it doesn't get you anything, it's still a waste of resources. The Universal Carrier is also a very useful unit in that it allows you to capture, it allows you to transport infantry, anti-tank guns, Vickers, has a defense die, which a defense die on capturing light vehicle is very useful against MG file and getting around the map and taking points away from your opponent, as well as the double flame upgrade. Now, the double flame upgrade will take away your ability to capture, which some people do make that mistake, but the double flame is a great way of starting to remove buildings, starting to remove that that infantry threat as they come and try and take your points, fight you for the center of the map, and push you back.
All right, we covered their strengths. What's their opening moves? What's their opening plan as British?
The opening plan, they heavily rely on your ability to read the map and understand where you're going to get the most value out of your emplacements, what areas you need to focus on, and pressure. Because if you try and win all 3 sides of the map, you're probably going to lose all 3 sides of the map. But if you try and focus around 3 central victory points, you can probably hold those 3 central victory points very well. So mostly, some key starting openings, of course, you do the infantry section, the Vickers, but then your starting one, it's really hard and it's very map dependent. Sometimes you want to do starting Bofors, sometimes you want a Universal Carrier and infantry section, sometimes you want to do a starting mortar. Sometimes if you got a really good situation where the anti-tank gun is going to actually get some value, at 3 manpower it is the cheapest anti-tank gun. So you can get some good value, especially with 1 XP to get that APU die. It's hard to say what is the best opening for British. It's really map dependent.
It is map
and
dependent.
It's going to come down to really you figuring out how you're going to be able to hold at least 3 victory points.
All right.
If you
How
can't,
do you play against the unstoppable British? What's their weakness?
The weakness is that they can't be everywhere. They really can't take control of multiple sides of the map, and their units are immobile. If you get a unit out that's going to counter their emplacements are free VP for you. If they don't have a way to push you back, if they don't have firepower enough to defend their emplacements, they're just going to lose it, and then they can kind of snowball behind from losing unit after unit, trying to get back into position. So when playing against
Sounds
British,
good.
try
Just
and force
spread
them to
them wide.
overcommit resources
Yep.
somewhere.
Get them to overcommit and go where